Good evening, everyone. We're about to begin. Good evening and welcome to our induction ceremony in honor of the 2022 classes of the Healing Hands Guild and the Profiles of Compassion Society. I'm Heather Hill, the Interim Director of Spiritual Care and the Director of Compliance and the Privacy Officer here at University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center. It's my privilege to begin this sacred and joyous celebration with a blessing. So let us pray. Healing God, conscious that our cherished caregivers reflect your compassion, we honor them and pray for them in a special way tonight. We ask you to hold them in your tenderness, give them an assurance of your spirit of strength as they minister to your people, and be for them a sign and a source of ongoing hope. We thank them for the love they give to others and pray that they too may be showered with God's love. As they work to cure, speak to soothe, and touch to heal in the power of the Holy Spirit, may they be renewed in their commitment of service to the healthcare ministry. Together, we make this prayer in the name of our God, who is the source of all healing. Amen.
Thank you, Heather. That was absolutely beautiful. Good evening, everybody. Good to be with all of you tonight. Wow, what a crowd. This is awesome. We're full again, which is wonderful. So thank you for joining us tonight for this celebration of our extraordinary physicians and nurses. Before I get started, I'll offer a gentle safety reminder to all of our guests. We are so fortunate to be able to celebrate this evening's induction ceremony in person. And as always, we are committed to celebrating as safely as possible. Out of respect for the health of all of our guests and our patients and our staff, I would ask that you please keep your masks on and up unless you're eating or drinking. Thank you for your understanding and consideration. I see a whole bunch of masks going on. Oh, okay, well, yeah. Well, welcome to the healthcare industry. I want to also take a minute to thank our foundation staff and particularly Lexi Bano for her great work on tonight's celebration. Led by Mimi Tinkler, our Vice President of the Foundation, this team's efforts are the source for all of these extraordinary events. So thank you for that round of applause for them. So this is one of my favorite nights of the year, and so it's great to be back here after 3 years. This is a night that I know we have all missed dearly over these past 3 years. I think back on how much we've experienced and endured since our last Healing Hands and Profiles of Compassion ceremony in 2019. Under ordinary circumstances, as you all know, our physicians and nurses are buffeted by considerable stress as they provide care and comfort to their fellow community members. This stress has increased 1,000-fold during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we all know that. Thankfully, our staff, blessed by the presence of the Holy Spirit, as well as their faithful companionship with each other, display amazing resilience every single day while providing loving service and compassionate care to our patients, every touch, every time. So because it's been so long since we've hosted this event, let me share a brief overview of the Healing Hands Guild and the Profiles of Compassion Society and why it is such an important honor to be chosen as an inductee. In 2013, the Healing Hands program was introduced to honor and celebrate a very select group of physicians for their leadership and their dedication to our hospital, as well as their outstanding professional accomplishments as clinical providers. These are the physicians who inspire us. They are shining examples of what makes UM St. Joseph such a special place to work and for many of them to call a second home. In 2014, we initiated the Profiles of Compassion Society to recognize exceptional nurses who have shown extraordinary commitment to our founding Sisters of St. Francis of Philadelphia's ideals of reverence, integrity, compassion, excellence, and stewardship. The nurses in this society emulate the sisters through their excellence in clinical care and leadership, combined with daily expressions of love caring for their patients as well as their colleagues. They are truly the best of us. Tonight, as we gather for the first time in 3 years, I would like to ask that we reflect on the importance of the Healing Hands Profiles of Compassion induction ceremony, and a precious and irreplaceable gift that this celebration offers to each of us. This gift that I am reflecting on is the gift of time. Time to gather with our treasured team members, supporters, and loved ones, a privilege we have learned never again to take for granted. Time to pause and remember the many trials we have faced and overcome, to be here in the Deyesu Rotunda right now in celebration with one another. Time to remember that even during the most uncertain of circumstances, we can count on the fellowship and benevolence of our community, of the countless kindred souls who are committed to a higher purpose. Time to offer a silent prayer of thanks to our founders, 3 incredibly brave nuns from the Order of the Sisters of St. Francis of Philadelphia, and those countless sisters who followed them. Their courage and tenacity, their dedication to a mission to provide a faith-based hospital of the highest caliber to their community, the foundation that is UM St. Joseph's reason for being. Time to joyfully contemplate our bright and innovative future, made possible by the countless team members who have worked over the past 158 years to contribute to this institution's success. And finally, time to express deep appreciation for supportive and generous friends like all of you here tonight. The physicians and nurses we honor tonight add to an amazing legacy of clinical excellence delivered with loving service and compassionate care. They are Dr. Sonia Baker, whose spirit of collegiality and unique capacity to see opportunity where others see obstacles keeps patients safe from harm and saves lives. Dr. Helen Gordon, whose passion for guiding patients at their end of life ensures that they and their loved ones are safe and held as they walk shoulder to shoulder with a talented physician who embodies empathy, dignity, respect, and compassion. Dr. Frank Morris, whose vision for community-based interventional cardiac care and his clinical mentorship have helped lay the foundation for the Sandra R. Berman Heart Institute as one of Maryland's destination heart programs. Nurse Lisa McSorley, formerly a surgical intensive care unit nurse who had such positive and impactful birthing experiences, including the birth of her daughter here at St. Joe's, that she was motivated to change careers and strive to give new mothers laboring here the same joyful experience that she had. Nurse Beth Nash, whose commitment to meeting every ED patient where they are, even when they are in pain, both physically and emotionally, embodies the very soul of our mission of loving service and compassionate care. Nurse Diana Smith, whose unshakable faith in her colleagues and in her calling led her across many nursing fields, starting as a bedside nurse in cardiac care units and finishing her career as an oncology nurse navigator, where she found profoundly life-affirming work that she says enriches her soul even as she serves others. And Nurse Marcia Coclain, whose passing earlier this year has not dimmed the impact of her work with us. Marcia's fierce dedication to support, serve, and advocate for patients in every circumstance in lockstep with her ED colleagues served as an inspiration for all of us, especially her team members, throughout her 38 years at UM St. Joseph. I ask that we pause to observe a moment of silence in Marcia's honor and also offer a silent prayer for other Healing Hands and Profiles of Compassion Society members who have passed since our last in-person ceremony in 2019. They are Dr. Shepard Kaplow, Dr. Robert J. Mahan, Dr. Hans Wilhelmsen, Jennifer Liu, and Judith D. Miller. Thank you. And while we have had to experience great loss, Our guild and society gained new members in the last few years during the COVID era when we had to celebrate by hosting private ceremonies with close family and friends to induct 12 more honorees. The Healing Hands and Profiles Compassion class of 2020 include Dr. George Larocco, Dr. Stephen Pollack, who I saw in the background somewhere there, Dr. Ben Van Landingham, who I know is here, Deb Fleming, Jennifer Liu, and Jean Van Poppel, along with the class of 2021, Dr. Stephen Crawford, Dr. Richard Mackey, Dr. Richard Linthicum, Kelly Archer, Sandra Bryan, and Daphne Goodall-Clennon. Let's give them all a long overdue round of applause. And so before your hands get too tired, let's also lead a round of applause for all of our Healing Hands Guild and Profiles of Compassion class of 2022 inductees. So it's been said that gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. This is our time to celebrate the wonderful contributions of UM St. Joseph's team members who, through their daily work and incredible strength of heart, have helped to both honor our legacy and forge a path to a bold new future of loving service and compassionate leading-edge care. Congratulations to all of you. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Gail Cunningham, Healing Hands Guild Class of 2014, and our Vice President of Medical Affairs, Chief Medical Officer, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer. You know, you can call her anytime, day or night.
Yes, whatever you need, I'll be your girl there. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to welcome everybody here tonight. It is so wonderful to see so many family and friends here to honor such amazing inductees. It's no secret that the past 2 years have changed the face of medicine as we know it. And this struggle was particularly challenging at UM St. Joseph, where we pride ourselves on seeking the divine light in everyone and honoring the human experience. And we often do that by face-to-face contact with heartfelt connection. Those are the ties that bind us to one another and the basis for exceptional medicine. As ever, our providers rose to the challenge, finding ways through the pandemic to continually, meaningfully connect with patients and colleagues alike and provide reliable, safe, effective, respectful, and compassionate care. You know, we're very proud of the awards that St. Joe's receives. I don't know if you all know that we are only one of 2 hospitals in the state of Maryland to be a CMS 5-star and Leapfrog Grade A hospital, which is fantastic. And it's because of the dedication of the people that we are honoring tonight and their colleagues. It's really, you are the backbone of what makes St. Joe's who St. Joe's is. But we're even more proud that in a world that is increasingly grappling with uncertainty, isolation, and confusion, that our doctors found a way to breach the divide and create a sacred space for healing, a space for innovative care and for positive growth. To our family of UM St. Joseph physicians, and most especially tonight to the Healing Hands Guild honorees, Sonia, Helen, and Frank, I thank you for understanding and for showing us by your example that what unites us, virtues such as compassion, empathy, and altruism, will always, always be stronger than what divides us. On behalf of our board, our leaders, your colleagues, I say congratulations and carry on. And now it's my pleasure to introduce my partner in crime, our Senior Vice President of Patient Care Services, Chief Nursing Officer, and the other girl that gets it done, Nicole Beeson.
Thank you, Gail. Wow, what a beautiful sight tonight. This is so special for all of us tonight, and myself included. I joined St. Joe's in 2019, and boy, that feels like a long time ago. And so it's so strange, how time really has passed so quickly, and so many things have truly changed in all of our lives, from how we provide care for our patients to how we celebrate successes and milestones. With respect for the restrictions of the pandemic, the Foundation hosted a series of events for the Healing Hands and Profiles of Compassion honorees, but it didn't look like this. We did it in a smaller fashion, and we're so glad to be here with all of you tonight. I am so grateful that we can come together to celebrate the success of these amazing inductees that are here with us tonight, and for those that can't be as well. Like Tom and Gail, I absolutely adore this event and the opportunity to celebrate the milestones and the phenomenal caregivers in our hospital, surrounded by families, friends, and colleagues. And remember and honoring everyone, especially those that are not able to be here with us tonight. We are brought together by the spirit of this hospital that sets us aside from all others. On behalf of the nursing team from St. Joseph, I would like to congratulate our honored physicians and our Profiles of Compassion nurses, Lisa, Beth, Diana, and Marcia. Thank you for each of you for your many years of valuable service to our hospital and our patients. You should be extremely proud of the great personal and professional recognition you have, because you have been chosen, because you exemplify St. Joseph's mission, vision, and values in your everyday work. You remind us that anything is possible when we show commitment, united, and working towards one common goal. Every day we care for each other, we learn from each other, and we support one another. And perhaps most importantly, we shine the light when there are opportunities, and we learn from one another. And together, we continue to improve the care we provide for our patients and how we care for one another. It takes a commitment of this entire team, the entire organization, to make our goals like clinical excellence, zero patient harm, and the perfect patient experience a reality. These inductees tonight exemplify this commitment each and every day for the benefits of our patients, our colleagues, and our community. Let me please add to the chorus of congratulations and the true gratitude to each and every one of you. Congratulations, nurses and physicians that we're honoring tonight. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Charlie Rizzuto, an anesthesiologist here at St. Joe's and member of the Healing Hands Guild Class of 2015, who will induct Dr. Sonia Baker and Dr. Helen Gordon into the Healing Hands Guild and Lisa McSorley into the Profiles of Compassion Society.
Thank you, Nicole. Truly an honor to be able to do this tonight, to be here. It's entering my 31st year here at St. Joe's. It's a special place. So at this time, we'd like to invite Sonia Baker to the podium. Hey, Sonia. Sonia is a cardiologist working here at the Sandra R. Berman Heart Institute. Sonia started at St. Joe's in 2011 during a difficult time for the heart program. We're so fortunate that Sonia saw our potential here at St. Joe's. She says, quote, "While others saw obstacles, I saw opportunity. The program was rebuilding, and I saw this as a chance to have real input in how the Heart Institute would provide care moving forward," end quote. I speak on behalf of everyone tonight when I thank Sonia for seeing a strong future for the hospital. It is clear you've made your mark on the program. I was lucky enough to have Sonia care for my mother. Sonia's wonderful treatment of my mom's severe heart failure kept her out of the hospital and provided my mom with good quality of care for over 5 years, good quality of life. When you combine excellent clinical care with extraordinary compassion, you get Dr. Sonia Baker. Amen. So Sonia, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joe's Medical Center, please accept this pin as a representation of your induction into the Healing Hands Guild, class of 2022. Congratulations, Sonia.
Thank you, Charlie. I feel like I'm yelling into the microphone. No, okay. I don't like being the center of attention, so this is a small bit of torture for me. But it is a great honor to be here tonight, and what an amazing turnout, and so lovely to see so many familiar faces. I'm very humbled to be inducted into the same class as Dr. Helen Gordon and Dr. Frank Morris, who I consider to be mentors to me, and I'm so grateful for all of the wisdom that they've shared with me since I've been here. When trying to think about what to say in my few minutes that they asked me to speak, I thought about kind of what we've all been going through for a few years, and I read an article in the newspaper where the author coined the term hope fatigue, which was basically that with modern day, with everything that's happening, with COVID, with wars, with all the uncertainties, we all worry about things that we'd have little impact to control. And it causes a burnout in our hope and our optimism. I'm so privileged and so very lucky to be a physician because every day I have multiple opportunities to connect one-on-one with a human, and we have a moment, and I get to refill my cup every day with hope and optimism. Even when things aren't going well, just being able to have that connection really restores me. And so I'm grateful for that. The other thing that I'm grateful for is all of the mentors I've had. There's too many to list. I did want to mention a few people, but I found in thinking about my journey to cardiology and thinking about all the people who influenced me, I felt better, I felt lighter, I felt hope again, and I wanted to reach out to those people and tell them, you made such an impact on me, and I maybe never said that, or I didn't say it well, or I only said it once, and I still feel their fingerprints in who I am today, and I want to mention them again because of that. So, I'll make it quick. I'm thankful for Dr. Jim Bessler, who was an internist in Kilmarnock, Virginia, who was the first doctor to teach me to read an EKG when I was a second-year medical student. He also had a rule with his desk that if you touched a piece of paper, you touched it once, you did something with it, and then it went away. I have not met this standard, but I try every day to live up to Jim Bessler. To Dr. Susan Wolfstall, who was my determining factor to choose University of Maryland for my internal medicine residency, I'm grateful. She showed me how a female physician could be an excellent clinician, an educator, and an administrator, even if she made it look easier than it probably was. To Dr. Mark Kellerman, I'll not forget how much fun we had on cardiology consults when I was an intern. We laughed a lot, like a lot more than you probably should doing cardiology consults at an academic center. And that fun and that joy and making it accessible made me want to pursue cardiology. To Sean Robinson, Dr. Sean Robinson, I can't really say enough. Sean deserves like a whole separate speech, but he was my mentor in heart failure. He was my mentor in cardiology. He was my mentor in research. He helped me figure out to marry my future husband. Sean had a hand in everything, and I'm grateful for his mentorship because he believed in me even when I had my doubts about my abilities. To Ari Hood, who taught me about EKGs and was equally OCD as me on CCU rounds. It's good to have someone obsessed with the details and who validates that. I'm very grateful. He continues to care for my father, and I'm grateful for that. To Dr. Gautam Ramani, whose calm, considered reflection on critically ill patients inspired me, and I'm just so very grateful that he continues to take my phone calls. Because usually every week that I'm on service, I call him up and present a difficult case looking for insight and guidance. What's funny about that is Dr. Nikki Minkov, who's a younger cardiologist who I often work with, she said, "You call them downtown?" I was like, "I call them all the time." Like it was some big secret. And she's like, "I feel so much better knowing that you're calling them." I was like, "On the weekly, Nikki, on the weekly." It's impossible to name everyone. I also wanted to just give a special moment to the nurses in the PCU and the CCU down at University of Maryland. The PCU nurses, Ray and Erica and Oliver, and the CCU nurses, Deb and Barb and Cindy, basically taught me so much cardiology. My attendings did a great job, but particularly the CCU nurses taught me how to read a swan correctly, how to put a swan in correctly, how to zero a swan correctly, how to wean drips off of a critically ill patient. And we were elbow to elbow at night, taking care of these critically ill patients. And I'm so grateful for the wisdom that they shared and their kindness towards these dumb young doctors who thought they knew everything. Once my time at St. Joe's came, my good fortune continued. Dr. Stephen Pollack and Dr. Ronald Schechter always let me just walk into their office and present patients to them and help me navigate unfamiliar clinical scenarios. If it was a burden, they never let on. They always said, yeah, come on in, I've got the time. And I was very grateful for their clinical acumen, and I still am. To my current partners here at St. Joe's, I'm grateful to work with such bright cardiologists who deliver compassionate, comprehensive, cutting-edge cardiology and who push me to keep pace with them. I'm lucky to be with such an outstanding group of cardiologists. For my staff, I'm grateful every hour. For Janine, if you're out there, God bless you. Please don't quit. Finally, if I can just not forget my family, to my mom and dad, who eventually accepted I was going to be a history major in undergrad and pre-med, and it all worked out. My father, when I told him I was going to be a history major, said, "Why am I paying for this? You could just go to Barnes & Noble's and read the history section." Thank you for stressing education above all else. To my sister, who couldn't be here tonight because she's traveling for work, she's always been my biggest champion and kept me fed that intern year. To my husband, who lets me know he's proud of me and makes me coffee every morning, even though he doesn't drink it. Thank you. I love you, and I could not be a cardiologist without you. And to my son, Thomas, he told me to tell you he was the best kid. Then he said, not to, as it might make the other moms feel bad. So to my best kid, I love you so much, and I'm grateful to be your mom. And my final shout out is to Dr. Atina Rozak, who is often mistaken for me and has taken many congratulations on my behalf. Thank you, Atina, for always being gracious when people think you're Dr. Baker. But I hope that you all can think on people who have mentored you or made a difference in your life. Maybe take an opportunity to reach out to them. I think that it will uplift your spirits in this time that we're all making our best way through. Thank you so much.
All right, now I'd like to invite Dr. Helen Gordon to the podium. You're on.
I was asking Dr. Rozak to take out my gallbladder.
Oh, okay. That's great. So Helen is an internist and medical director of the hospice and palliative medicine at the medical center. Helen first worked right down the street at GBMC's Gilchrist Center for 17 years, where she was able to combine her love for teaching with her passion for medicine. I understand we have Gail Cunningham to thank, in part, for finally convincing Helen to bring her skills to St. Joe's in 2012, where she established a dedicated palliative care program we have today. Reflecting back on her time here at St. Joe's, Helen says, quote, "St. Joe's has been an incredibly welcoming environment. I've been given the support to develop an amazing team. At this medical center, staff care for each other as well as their patients, so we all feel supported. That mutual support and respect is so critical to keep this demanding and stressful profession rewarding," end quote. My family, on a personal note, my family was fortunate in having Helen care for my mom at the end of her life. She was extremely instrumental in making her passing comfortable, both for my mom and our family. The peace you bring patients and their families is invaluable. It's really an honor for me to be able to do this tonight. Helen, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joe's Medical Center, please accept this pin as a representation of your induction into the Healing Hands Guild class of 2022. Congratulations.
Hi, everybody. And thank you very, very much. As Sonia pointed out very graciously, I have had a slightly longer career, and there are even more people to thank. And I've chosen to not use names because there are so many people before I got to St. Joe's who were so critical to me, before I got to med school, people who have moved on, people we've lost, people who are still there, people who are part of my life now who couldn't make it tonight, and people who did. And I just can only say thank you to my family and my non-biological family, to my colleagues at multiple hospitals, to the people who I've loved and the people who have helped me and supported me and loved me and who have forgiven me for all my human failings. That has helped me be strong. And I have to say just a word about St. Joe's because I have only been here 9 years. And it was a funny little email from Gail, and there's actually a tennis partner out in the crowd, but who is a godparent to one of my children. I have worked at several hospitals, maybe not millions, but several. And this is a really special place. And the kind of support that I feel every day from the nurses, from the techs, from the people from EBS is extraordinary. And it helps me stay here when I get asked, as I was last night at dinner, why aren't you burnt out? A lot has to do with the atmosphere here, where everybody comes together and helps. And when I'm in trouble and Nicole walks by with a cupcake, I say, thank you, but what I really want is, I want some of those signs brought back to the second floor that got cleaned up. And then, so, thank you all very much, and thank St. Joe's for having me here. Thank you for letting me be part of your family briefly there, Charlie. Okay.
Now I'd like to invite Lisa McSorley to the podium. Great to see you. Lisa, a labor and delivery nurse, credits her training at the St. Joe's Hospital School of Nursing for making her the nurse she is today. Her 41-year career has taken her across the East Coast, from Johns Hopkins up to Vermont. But it seems like Lisa always knew the foundation she had built at the School of Nursing would bring her back to St. Joe's. As a neonatal admission assessment nurse, Lisa has attended hundreds of deliveries and is responsible for the well-being of every newborn under her care. It seems she always knows just what mom and baby need to create a positive experience for their first few moments of life together. Maybe it's because Lisa had firsthand experience giving birth to a daughter here in 1997. Her personal philosophy for this job is simple. She says, quote, "When I lose sight of the miracle of birth, it is time to move on. I just celebrated 27 years here, and I signed the retention contract." That speaks for itself. I can't imagine becoming tired of this job, end quote. Lisa and I have worked together on labor and delivery for almost 3 decades. Labor and delivery is a place where perfection is the expected outcomes. Clinical situations change in a matter of seconds. Lisa's presence is always reassuring because she brings compassion, experience, and expertise that is second to none on our team. Lisa, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joe's Medical Center, please accept this pin as a representation of your induction into the Profiles of Compassion Society class of 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to first thank the foundation for tonight and for my family and friends for joining me and coming a long way, some of you. I cannot begin to articulate how humbled I am to be inducted into the Profiles of Compassion Society. It has taken me a great deal of soul searching to wrap my head around why and how I am here. I haven't done anything special compared to the nurses who have been recognized before me. They are the GOATs, the faces of the franchise, the household names of the University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center. I see myself as simply a staff nurse that comes to work and loves her job. As I expressed disbelief that I'm even worthy of this honor to my family, friends, and coworkers, I kept hearing the same responses. I came to realize that it is not so much as what I do or what I have done, but who I am. So now I wonder, who am I? I am the product of my environment. The extraordinary attributes that others see in me are actually a reflection of themselves. I have learned and instilled their values in my way of life. The special people in my life enabled me to be here tonight. My work ethic mimics that of my father. He never took a sick day to go fishing. He instilled, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all, and not doing it was not an option. My mother taught me the power of prayer, and those who have been around when St. Anthony was needed. And she taught me that thoughtfulness towards others can be life-changing. She always made room for everyone. Being helpful, even when it's not always convenient, is a lesson learned from my siblings. They taught me not to keep score when performing acts of kindness. There is no greater teacher of patience, tolerance, flexibility, and love than children. Thank you, Andrew and Liz. It has served me well. Being selfless and putting others first is a way of life that I have witnessed in my husband, Brian, every day for the past 30 years. I carried these values with me to St. Joseph's 27 years ago. While I credit St. Joseph's School of Nursing for my foundation in my nursing practice, I began to learn new lessons on how to be best for my patients and my work team. I've had the privilege to have Kelly Archer leading the way, raising the bar, and having my back for so many years. There is truth in you become who you surround yourself with. And I have surrounded myself in the maternal child health department with excellence, compassion, and kindness. I have never worked with a team so willing to lift and carry each other through the best of days and the worst of days. To my coworkers, my work family, it's been you that has inspired me and taught me how to become the nurse that you feel is worthy to be a member of the Profiles of Compassion. I am blessed to have a piece of each of you in my heart and soul that I give to my patients. I dedicate and share this honor with my family, friends, and coworkers in appreciation for weaving me into the nurse and person who proudly served as a member of the Profiles of Compassion. Please know that the best of you is right up there with me. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Carol Curran RN to the podium. Carol is retired from leadership roles in nursing at the University of Maryland St. Joe's Medical Center and was inducted into the 2016 class of Profiles of Compassion. She will induct Dr. Frank Morris into the Healing Hands Guild and Deanna Smith, RN, into the Profiles of Compassion Society. Carol?
Thank you, Charlie. I've told everyone he put me to sleep more than once. Frank is also a cardiologist here at University of Maryland, St. Joseph's, and it was after he lost his father to heart disease while he was a senior in high school that led him to a career in medicine. I've known Frank for over 30 years, and when he first came to St. Joe's, he was a mercy doc, which is equivalent to your teenage daughter's multiple boyfriends. Don't get to know them too fast because they won't be around much longer. But that didn't happen with Frank. Frank hung around for a lot longer. A truly innovative thinker, it isn't difficult to see why Frank blossomed in his career as advancements in surgical intervention came to the field. I'm not surprised that when the first open heart surgery practice in a community hospital opened here at St. Joe's, Frank wasn't far behind. And during our many problems that we went through in the late 90s, early 2000s, Frank was a voice of calm and reason and someone to be listened to as we navigated through all those difficulties. He is still motivated by what the future holds and what the next generation of cardiologists will accomplish now that he has paved the way. He says these young doctors are taking over the Department of Cardiology, and I could not be more confident in their abilities. The Heart Institute at St. Joe's will be in good hands. I have been lucky to be associated with such good people. Frank, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joseph's Medical Center, please come forward and accept this pin as a representation of your induction into the Healing Hands Guild, class of 2022.
Thank you. Thank you. These are hard acts to follow, but I want to thank committee for inviting me to come back for this honor. And I think I am probably the longest serving of the group of docs here tonight, since I started as an ER doc for ODEPA in 1978, when the 11 to 7 shift with such outstanding nurses as Phyllis Stevens, who was our nighttime nurse, and she taught me a lot about ER work, because back in those days you didn't have CAT scanners. And I did that during my fellowship in cardiology. During the fellowship in cardiology, we did not have two-dimensional echoes. We had M-mode echoes. We had cardiac cath, but there was no angioplasty. We didn't have any structural heart program. All the surgical cases who needed valves replaced or holes fixed all went to the OR, and we started that surgical program here in the 80s at St. Joe. And I was fortunate to be part of that, and I was also fortunate to hire one of the doctors who was trained by Dr. Grunzik in angioplasty at Emory to be one of my associates, and we started that program here at St. Joe and University of Maryland. And then I was also honored again later, and it was kind of a big surprise to me when Dr. Sunta asked me to come back and work for a few years as the chief here of cardiology and director of the program as we developed the TAVR program, where I got a chance to meet and mentor a young doctor, Dr. Zaidi, and got to spend a lot of time with him and see what an experienced interventionist he was. But along the way, I also had a very positive experience with the nursing staff here. I remember Marge Crowdaw up on the 4th floor, which was our cardiac floor at one time, called me aside to tell me I had to look out for this young nurse. She was a keeper, and her name was Noreen Rogers, who is still here. We have an outstanding staff here in the cath lab, and I was always privileged and honored to work with them. Over the years, as part of Mid-Atlantic, we did go to a lot of different hospitals, sometimes many hospitals in the same night. If I was in another hospital, my mind thought was I'm the only person in the room with the patient. But at here, I always knew that there was the circulating nurse or the scrub tech who had my back and who was looking out for my patient and also for myself. I remember one night where we came in, and it was 8 o'clock on a Friday night, and there was a young man in his 40s who was having a heart attack, and he was fibrillating. We had to shock him multiple times just to get him on the table, and I'm talking to him because his wife's outside the door crying with 2 young children. And finally, he stabilizes, and we put him on the table, and the nurse comes to the door and says, Dr. Morris, one of our internists is in the ER having a septal infarct. So I walked across the hall, and I talked to him, and he was stable. And as I came back across the hall, the night supervisor came to me and said, Dr. Morris, we have 2 helicopters coming in from Washington County and Eastern Shore with infarcts. So I called, I said, well, get another team in, get one of my colleagues in, and we did 4 infarcts that night in about 4 or 5 hours, and they're all alive today, and that was 25 years ago. But that kind of teamwork and camaraderie was amazing, and in those days I was here a lot. I mean, my office was here in the O'Day building. I understand maybe Dr. Collector is moving into that office, one of our primary care doctors. He told me how well laid out this suite was. I said, what suite? He said, 408. I said, well, if you liked that suite, that's the one I designed, so I'm glad you liked it. You can't do this by ourselves, and if it's not for our family and the staff that's behind us. My staff is here tonight, my medical assistant, Susie and Lisa. Susie's been with me over 42 years. Judy Giordani, who is Denise Borner's sister-in-law, she was with me as a secretary for 28 years. My office manager, Tracy Sutton's been with me over 20 years. Tim O'Donnell started with me when I was in cardiology traveling between Mercy and here. And then eventually Tim came and worked with the critical care group here for about 10 years before coming back with me. And then not to be left out or my family, because I was not home a lot. There were long days and long nights. Sometimes I wouldn't be home at all at night. And I think one of the younger children said to my wife at one time that, why is Dad always late for supper? And she said to him, well, somebody's very sick. And he said, well, just how sick are they? I mean, we're hungry. And she said, well, they're dying to see him. So, it's been a great run, and we've really had a lot of support from the administration in getting the cath labs up and the interventional program going. We had great surgeons here. And I did have an opportunity to work in these other hospitals and open heart programs. And honestly, there's none better. There's none I feel more comfortable in than St. Joseph's. And last year when my wife had a problem, we brought her here, and I got to sit in the recovery room and watch what goes on in the cath lab. It was like old home week, and I was really proud. And the young people that are here are amazing. Some of them I recruited when I was here, and I just think it's great because I will be here for a long time due to their care when I need it. Hopefully I won't, but you never know. But I have Dr. Zaidi's number on speed dial. So. And he did an amazing job when we were down and we only had one doc in the lab. We lost our EP guy, we lost our other cathing doctor, and he was a one-man show. It was just amazing. And when I came back here just to those few years as the chief, it was amazing to me too, because I got to work with Jill Brown and Sue, and the other nurses were just phenomenal, and I learned a great deal of respect for them as well as all the techs in the lab. So thank you again for this honor.
I'd like to now invite Diana Smith to the podium. Diana has served in a number of roles at the hospital, from the bedside and cardiac care to the nurse manager of the telemetry unit. When the nurse manager position became available in the telemetry unit, it was after March Craddock had died. I went to all the senior staff on that unit, and at that time, it was 80 beds, and those 80 beds were filled 95% of the time with cardiac patients. And I asked every single senior person if there was anybody that they would recommend for that nurse manager position, and they unanimously said Diana Smith. And even after she left the role as nurse manager and went across the street to the Cancer Institute, where she was a nurse navigator, working closely with Dr. Richard Schrader until she retired in 2020. Reflecting on her journey in nursing, Diana says, "I made the right choice. Cannot imagine any other career where you have the opportunity that nursing offers. You can be a caregiver, a CEO, a teacher, really anything you want to be, and you will be making a difference in someone's life." I feel especially honored to be talking to you about Diana tonight. We worked together since 1995, and I saw the potential she had for the field, encouraging her to go for the nurse manager role. Diana always was an extremely wonderful patient advocate, and if there was a problem with a patient or a family, she wanted to be the first to know it, and she wanted to be the one to fix it. And because of that, while she was the nurse manager, the telemetry unit had the highest patient satisfaction of an inpatient unit in the system, which was about 25 hospitals, and I don't know how many inpatient units, but that patient satisfaction was always top. As a Profiles of Compassion member, I know what this kind of recognition means and how it feels. I feel so blessed to be asked my friend Diana to the podium so that she can experience the feeling for herself. It is well deserved. Diana, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joe's Medical Center, please accept this pin as a representation of your induction into the Profiles of Compassion Society, class of 2022.
Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here. I want to tell a little story about how I ended up at St. Joe's. After working at the same hospital in northeastern Pennsylvania for 18 years, I was ready for a new start. My son was off to college in DC, and I had a sister with family here in Maryland that I often visited. I decided on a move to Baltimore. In those days, you looked for a new job in the newspaper. My sister mailed me the Sunday classified section of the Baltimore Sun for a couple of weeks, and I soon found a job to make my move. I was to start soon after the new year in 1996. My son was on Christmas semester break from college and would help me with my move. Then it started to snow. It snowed for 3 days and for 3 nights. It got a name. It was the blizzard of '96. My son and some friends loaded my belongings into a U-Haul, and when it stopped snowing, we drove the half-plowed interstates out of Pennsylvania and into Maryland to a sight-unseen apartment that my sister had helped to lease for me. I started my new job. My new job was not at St. Joe's. It was at another Baltimore hospital. And I soon realized that it was not a good fit for me, and it was not a place I was going to stay. Nurses there told me to look at hospitals in Towson. And I've also found out that my sister and family, who lived in Howard County, traveled to Towson for health care. Very out of character for me, I resigned my job before I completed orientation. Very bad. I soon interviewed and was hired at St. Joseph Medical Center. And it didn't take long for me to realize what makes St. Joseph special. And I knew that I had found my new work family. 1996 started off with a blizzard. But as it went on, I settled into my new position at St. Joe's. I bought a home. My son was enjoying his first year in college, and the Ravens came to Baltimore too. It turned out to be a very good year. I was honored to work here at St. Joe's for 25 years, given many opportunities and working with wonderful colleagues, patients, and families. I am blessed with rich memories. I thank Carol Curran, my mentor, for being a relentless nominator for making this honor possible for me this evening. I thank my family for being here, my son, my sisters, my brothers-in-law, my niece. You make me feel very special. Thank you all very much for this wonderful honor. Thank you.
So now I'd like to invite Dr. Ben Landingham to the podium. Ben is the chief of the emergency department and was inducted in the Healing Hands Guild in 2020. He will introduce Beth Nash to the Profiles in Compassion.
Thank you, Carol. I'd like to invite Beth Nash to the podium. Beth first came to St. Joe's as a college student. I don't have permission to tell you what year that was. But she was studying communications and public relations. But a friend of hers was in the nursing program and doing a rotation at our emergency department. She convinced Beth to take a job here. Beth got the position as the ED clerk, working the 3 to 11 p.m. shift. And it was a whim. They thought it would be fun to work together, but it changed Beth's life. And that turning point for her was a blessing for all of us. Since then, Beth has dedicated her entire professional career to this hospital and this emergency department, working her way from ED clerk to nursing assistant to bedside ED nurse, and now, since 2018, the nurse manager of our emergency department. Over the last 2.5 years, Beth has spent countless hours helping to guide our department through the unprecedented challenges presented by the pandemic and its wake. These have not been easy or stable times, but Beth has been a rock. With competence, grace, and grit, she's pulled and pushed all of us through. 130 nurses and techs, 20 physicians and APPs, as well as the registration, infection prevention, radiology, security, staff. We could not have done this without her. Beth's stalwart commitment to True North, to our patients, to our colleagues, to our community, was also instrumental to bringing to life the Philip A. Zaffery Emergency Care Flex Unit. This is a dedicated space for the care of behavioral health patients. It's modern, it's safe, it's secure, and it served this vulnerable population with high quality care, never letting us lose sight of the compassion and the empathy that sets UM St. Joseph apart. Beth impresses me every day with, first and foremost, her ability to listen, to really listen, to the views and the concerns of others. She is not dogmatic. She is decent, she is fair, she is deeply compassionate, and she is curious. And it seems that whatever she's doing at any given moment, it's never about Beth. For her, it has always been about this place, these patients, and these colleagues. It's about trying to do the right thing, learning along the way how to not repeat mistakes, how to do it better as she goes, and how to make us better. Reflecting on her own career, Beth says, "You must love people and try to put yourself in their shoes. You must meet people where they are, even when they are in pain, both physically and emotionally. True empathy and the love for your fellow human beings is the most important quality in a good nurse, and I can't imagine doing anything else." So lastly, before your induction, I want to say to Allie and Drew, where are you guys? There you are. A big, deep thank you from everybody in this building. You've shared your mom, and you've supported your mom, and she could not have done this without you. So I want to say thank you to you guys. So Beth, on behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center, please accept this pen as a representation of your induction into the Profiles of Compassion, Class of 2022.
Wow, how do I follow that? Thank you, Ben. This night is really special for me. It's humbling, it's emotional. Being able to grow up in this building has been a true blessing. It's an honor to be inducted with the fine folks who have preceded me and everyone who has been inducted into Profiles in Healing Hands. My beginnings here at St. Joe's were as a young college student, growing up here, being able to be in different positions, and then finally landing as a leader in the unit. It's not been without scars, happy and sad. When I look at this building, when I sit in this rotunda, I think, wow, what a difference. What an amazing evolution of an organization. We can change the walls, we can change the decor, but what's at the heart is the people and the spirit of St. Joe's. And that's what's kept me here. It will continue to keep me here. I do feel like I have a heart full of gratitude, and it's so hard. I love that Dr. Gordon didn't name names, but I feel like there's a few names that I do need to verbally thank tonight, because I wouldn't be standing here without those individuals. And most everybody in this room played a part in that. So thank you all. I would like to thank Pat Saunders, who gave me a chance as a young, spunky kid, being a unit clerk in the ED. She gave me my first opportunity, and she told me early on, "You'll probably be a nurse manager someday." And I thought, no way. I'm not even sure I want to be a nurse. But at any rate, she led me to continue to pursue that dream. I want to thank my children, Allie and Drew, who have not only supported me unselfishly through missed concerts and missed sporting events and many interrupted dinners. My son said on the way over here, "Mom, who's going to answer your phone?" So thank you for always supporting me and knowing that unselfishly I was here to serve others who couldn't help themselves. I want to thank my parents who aren't here tonight, but Catherine and Anthony, for raising 6 children and having enough energy left for me, the spunky 6th one, who they instilled in us a great work ethic. My father always said, "Do the right thing even when it hurts." And that carries with me always. I want to thank my family, who's over here tonight with me. I am here for them. They are the most outstanding caregivers. They give from their heart. They're so kind. They're so empathetic. They go over and above every day through some of the toughest times and still show up. They show up for me. They show up for each other, and they show up for our patients. I want to thank Marcia Kuklane, who's not here tonight, for teaching me to always speak up, even when it's not the popular opinion. She taught me most recently that it's the people that matter the most. And so I am feeling very close to her tonight, and her family's here tonight, and I feel privileged and honored to be inducted with her. I want to thank Larry Moore, who may or may not be here, but Larry gave me my first opportunity as a leader on the unit. For Bill DeLaurier for passing the torch to me when he left. For Dr. Cunningham, who we worked together side by side in the ED, who has taught me to lead with grace. Although I still struggle, I always look to her as a mentor. To Ben, who's been an amazing colleague and friend. We would not have gotten through COVID without each other. Many cups of coffee, many late nights working on different things. It's so hard, there's so many people. I'm trying to keep it short. For my new nurse leaders in the ER, Amy, L.A., Coral, Kelly, Bridget, Jess, I want to thank you for holding me up and supporting me in so many ways and taking care of our patients so that I can have some time away. Speaking of that, thank you, Eleanor Smith, who was my first professional coach, and I thank the executive team for allowing that for me. It changed my life, and it changed my path. She taught me how to have work-life balance. I'm still working on it, Elle, but I think of you every time I think about scheduling a PTO day. I thank Caitlin and Nicole for carrying me many times when I wasn't able to carry myself, so thank you. I thank the executive team and the foundation for tonight. I can't tell you how special it feels to be on this podium and how much I will cherish this award. Thank you all for being here, and I assure you that my goal is to inspire other young nurses. I got to meet with 6 of my new graduates today. It's the best time of my month. Listening to them and their energy and remembering for myself how amazing it is to be a nurse and to hopefully inspire them to one day be on this stage to receive this prestigious award. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
So we have one more nominee for the 2022 class of the Profiles of Compassion. As you already heard, our dear friend Marcia Kuklane passed away this year, but not before she got the news that she would be inducted into the Profiles of Compassion Society. Marcia worked in the emergency department with Beth and me and the team, and her absence is felt every day. Tonight's no exception. I would like to invite one of our other ER family members, Shelley Smilowski, to the podium. Come on up. Shelley worked for 40 years in our ED. With Marcia by her side for her entire career. And Shelley even retired in 2021 to help take care of Marcia, because that's what family does. Shelley?
It's my pleasure to be here tonight to honor Marcia Kuklane. Marcia was an emergency nurse and a leader to us all in the emergency department for many years, but sadly passed away in May. At this time, I would like to call her sons, Nicholas Kuklane and Eric Kuklane, to the podium. Marcia had a deep love for the emergency department. She had a great perspective and was the pillar of productivity. Marcia was a great leader while always staying true to herself. On behalf of the University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center, please accept this pin as a representation of your mother's induction into the Profiles of Compassion Society. And Barb Davis-Sevier will come to the podium, please.
Wow. I'm honored to be here tonight for Marcia. Tonight we celebrate Marcia, a leader, a nurse, a coworker, and above all, a friend. Everyone, especially Marcia's family and friends, wish Marcia was here, standing here accepting this prestigious award. That being said, I'm going to give it a triage try and hope she approves. She'll let me know if she doesn't later tonight, I'm sure. Marcia was incredibly proud to be a nurse, equally proud to be an ER nurse. But what brought the greatest joy to Marcia was to be a St. Joe ER nurse. Part of, maybe founder, core member, definitely outspoken, member of our beloved family. Of course, an ER person never loses an opportunity to tell a story. And since I have everybody's attention, it's not a HIPAA story. So, you know, most people know that Shelley and Marcia and I would often go out. And before you know it, trying to solve the problems of the world, our families and work, Marcia would start to talk to strangers. And the conversation would evolve around, you know, where do you work? What do you do? And Marcia was so proud to say that we were ER nurses at St. Joe's. Meanwhile, Shelley and I are like sneaking off to the back. Marcia would be more than ecstatic to tell somebody, and they always had a story about St. Joe's, whatever. But she always had to say at the end that the three of us had over 100 years of service. So let me tell you, if that doesn't make you feel old, nothing does. And I think it's probably even more than 100 years. And that was a couple years ago. But early in Marcia's career, Pat and Maria saw a leader. They gave her the tools and the opportunities to excel. Hard for me to remember Marcia not in charge. Even when she wasn't the designated charge, staff, providers, and pretty much everybody in the room would come to her for advice. Her managers and supervisors knew that when Marcia was in charge, they could relax. Issues or problems would be handled correctly, and more times than not, pretty calmly. That was Marcia. After being in charge on the weekends, while working weekend option for many years, she embraced being in charge on the dreaded Mondays. At one time, Monday was thought of as one of the worst days to be in charge. I know, every day's a challenge these days. I can visualize her sitting at the charge computer with a line of people asking her questions, and in between the questions, answering the charge nurse phone. Many times, a frantic triage call from myself. She was excellent at prioritizing crises, and that was Marcia. No one could move the ER like her. When you say the word throughput to staff and many folks outside our ED walls, Marcia's name is one of the first names that come to one's mind. Over the past 15, maybe more, Marcia has been a member, often the lead, to many throughput meetings. She represented the ER with honesty and passion. Did I say passion? Passion. It's hard to believe that the world continues, especially the ER, without Marcia. But knowing and seeing her picture on the wall hopefully will bring a sense of peace to our hearts. Her picture will proudly rest amongst the greatest nursing leaders of St. Joe's. And thank you, Nick and Eric, for being here tonight, and Natalie and Melissa, who's not here tonight, for sharing your mom with us for so many years. And I thank you.
Wow. Okay. Get to take my mask off. Awesome. So at this time, I would like to ask Gail Cunningham, Nicole Beeson, and our honorees to now move upstairs, where we will unveil the Healing Hands Guild wall first, and then unveil the profiles of Compassion Cove. I invite our guests to remain seated and turn your attention to the large screens where you can view the unveilings. Following the unveiling, I invite all of our guests to join us upstairs in the lobby for refreshments and celebration. How you guys doing? Just take a minute, get things lined up. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention? I need a nurse to really take control of this room. It is my honor to present to you the 2022 class of the Healing Hands Guild. Yes. Woo! Okay, so I think we're going to have the cameraman move to the other side of the first floor to the profiles of Compassion Cove. He's going to hustle over there. And I'm going to get the high sign. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn our attention to the profiles of Compassion Cove. It is my honor to present to you the 2022 class of the Profiles of Compassion Society. Bravo! Woo! So I want to thank all of you. Needless to say, this is the St. Joe's way. Thank you all for being here. Let's go upstairs and enjoy some festivities.